MacVoices is supported by Eero, the wireless mesh network solution that you need. Visit Eero.com to get yours and use the coupon code MacVoices to receive free overnight shipping. And by MacVoices Magazine, our free Flipboard magazine that brings you some of the best Mac, iPhone, and iPad productivity tips on the web. High in signal, low in noise, just like MacVoices, MacVoices Magazine includes information on how you can get more out of your Apple technology. Subscribe at macvoices.com/magazine or search for MacVoices Magazine on Flipboard. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we try to keep you up to speed not only with products and people, but with some of the things that are going on in the community, at least the ones that I think are pretty important. That's why we cover the conferences and so many of the events that happen in the community. But there's also one particular cause. That's not really a cause. It's an activity. It's I don't know what it is, but I really feel it's important, and that's App Camp for Girls. And I wanted to get an update on App Camp because they're doing some interesting things at this particular moment that I want you to be aware of. And so I'd love to tell you that I found the most enthusiastic person from App Camp. But the trouble is with App Camp, everybody's enthusiastic. So I don't want to bestow that moniker on anybody. But having said that, Kelly Guimont is here. Kelly, welcome.
Hi, Chuck. It's really great. It's great to be here, and it's good to hear that that the impression of everyone at App Camp is that we're all really enthusiastic about it, because we are. But I tend to be the one who is the excited to get to go talk to people about it. So if I look familiar, that might be why.
Well, I didn't want to take away anything from Maya or Gray or anybody else associated with App Camp, because that's not it. You're all enthusiastic. It's just that usually our schedules are a little easier to put together.
That's true.
So I completely botched the opening there, Kelly. What is App Camp a project? Is App Camp is it a cause? What exactly is it?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of things. First of all, like the name says, it's a camp. We go for a week in the summer, in different locations, and it's a cause in that the point of App Camp existing and what we want out of App Camp is to help with the gender imbalance in tech. I mean, everybody knows that's a thing. I don't have to spend a bunch of time talking about it. Everybody knows if you go to a tech event or you look at a tech company or whatever, like when it comes to sort of broad generalizations, the world is like 50-50. I know that the percentages fluctuate from time to time, but it's basically half and half. And if you go look at a tech meetup or a tech or the leadership of a technology company or anything like that, it's not going to be 50-50. And we're doing what we can to make a dent in what that number looks like. And so that's the mission of App Camp, is to be able to change that. And part of what makes that happen is that we have people who rally around our cause, which is making this happen and doing what we can to address this imbalance and try to make it better. And so it's kind of all of those things a little bit. So I think your thing was closer than you thought it was.
Well, it's tough to wrap your arms around it, because it's not something that is obviously for everybody to go and attend. But right. I think it is such an important thing in the community. And there are a couple of questions I want to ask you about it. But most importantly, right now, you're trying to do some fundraising to expand App Camp even farther. And so I'm going to ask you to outline kind of where it's been and where you all want to take it.
So what we're doing right now is a new wave of fundraising, and we're calling that App Camp 2020, because what we want to do is we want to expand to 3 new cities in the next 3 years, and we want to make and doing that is no small feat. We need a lot of help in every community where we are. We need the very obvious things like staff camp and people to host it, and volunteers to, we prefer to have iOS developers, female and female identified iOS developers who are willing to join and be able to spend a week in a room with a bunch of girls going into grades 8 and 9, and be able to sort out, all of the logistics of that takes a lot more people. Maybe somebody who has the space, maybe a company that wants to sponsor a camper or a team, or there are a lot of ways that people can help us in a lot of contributory manners. So right now we're doing a fundraiser, and part of what we want to do with this fundraiser is, like I said, expand to new. But we also want to use it to lay the groundwork so that we have an organization in place beyond 2020, so that going forward, we will still be around, we will still be a viable organization, and we still have mechanisms to continue to bring what we're doing to as many people as want to have it.
So you're in how many cities at this point?
This last summer, we had camp in Portland, Seattle, Phoenix, and Chicago. And so we'd like to expand that. Last year, we had another couple of cities, and this year we weren't able to get a couple of those locations working, but we were able to spend our time in some of the other places, and we were able to bring App Camp to Chicago, which is something that we were really excited to get to do. It's the furthest east we've been. It's the largest city we've been in so far, and we're looking forward to continue our march both eastward and worldwide. I mean, honestly, like, we've had camp in Vancouver, BC, and we'd like to continue to expand. Like I said, any place that we can find enough people that are able and willing, and we can get things set up there.
So you obviously will accept money, because everything costs money, but you also will accept volunteers. You'll accept people that might be able to have a space that they could donate in a location that you'd like to be in.
Yeah, and that's a thing that I think sometimes sort of gets overlooked when we talk to people and we explain, like, here's who we are and here's kind of what we're doing. One of the things about it that is sometimes, like, in some cases it's the easiest, and in some cases it's the hardest, and that's a place to do it. And like an organizational sort of person. We tend to call them operations people. And person who's maybe familiar with permission slips and familiar with coordinating field trips, or has been a class volunteer, able to do some of that stuff on that sort of scale. Somebody who's good at event planning and knows a lot of event spaces, because we have some pretty particular needs. We need a place where we can have 12 campers. Depending on the size of the camp, we might be able to expand that to 16, or even this last summer in Portland, we had 20 campers in a single camp. And when we do that, we break everyone out into teams of 4. And so we need to have, like, an individual space for each of those teams, however many teams there are. And we need to be able to have an adult team lead for that particular camp. Somebody who's well-versed in iOS development. We generally need somebody who's sort of the lead developer, who presents the curriculum to everyone sort of at the front of the room. And then the teams break off into their individual areas and are able to work. That was actually part of what dictated the decision for us to go with laptops for our Xcode machines instead of iMacs or, minis or something like that, is because with the laptops, we have the flexibility of they can be sitting at this table, or they can be sitting at that table, or they can be sitting in a different room altogether. And the portability of that, like right now, we have camp, for example, I drive an Outback, and I can fit all of the equipment for camp in the back of the car, and we can take it to wherever the location may be, when things like that need to happen. And at the end of the week, I'm able to take it back to the offices easily in that one big bin. And be able to transport that easy. So, at some point we're going to have to buy new laptops, and at some point have to have some new iPods, because we give the developers for the week, they get to take it home overnight and show what they've been working on and bring it back and build out to that device during the week to get to show, like, what the progress is that they're making on their app. And then at the end of the week, they turn them all back in. And, at some point, those are going to sort of age out, and they're not going to run the newest version of the operating system or things like that. And we're going to have to replace those. And we always try to make sure we're working on the current release. So usually just about the time beta 1 of whatever the new thing is going to be comes out is about the time we start sending out permission slips for camp. So it's a little bit schizophrenic for some developers who have like installed beta 1 on something at home, and then they come work with all the release software, that we're using, and it can be a little weird. But a lot of what we want to do is raise awareness and get out there, and we need, like I said, we need a lot of different kinds of people in order to do this, and not everybody necessarily needs to be female or female identified. Like if you work with a company that does corporate matching, for example, and you want to give a donation, like see if there's we're a certified nonprofit, find out what let me know. Let me know. Honestly, I'm not hard to find. Let me know that's a thing that your company wants to do, and I can send you whatever information you need in order to make sure that we're certified and we can get on that list so that your company can make us one of the recipients of matching funds, or raise awareness in your area. If you have influence on a school committee that releases a guide that talks about what the camps are for the next year, let me know, and I'll send you whatever information you need so that we can get on that list. There are a lot of things that lots of people can do if they just sort of take a minute and think about the kinds of things that they have to contribute, or their knowledge set, or their contact list, or anything like that. If you have a friend at a TV station, if you have a friend with a major podcast, if you are a person who, knows a lot of people at a talk show, or, something like that, we will talk to, we want the message out there. We want to make sure that we're spreading the word to show that we are an organization that is trying to make a change. And it's a change for the better. All of the studies that come out say that when your company is more balanced, there's more efficiency, and there's better ideas, and more things get done, and all kinds of stuff that make it better for everybody if your organization isn't quite as homogenous as what it might be now.
When was the last time you upgraded your Wi-Fi router? Why haven't you? Thought it was too hard? Didn't want to be offline for the time it would take you to figure out the new router? Hate the idea of getting to know yet another complex control panel? If any of those apply, let me tell you about Eero, my new wireless mesh network solution. Yes, I was a little skeptical too. Getting my Eero up and running had me offline about 10 minutes. That's how long it takes just to log into some other routers' control panels. Eero accomplishes this by using the power and simplicity of their iOS app to guide you through the process. And the process couldn't be easier. There is exactly one light on the Eero, so you know what it's doing by what color that light is. The only real input Eero needs from you is to name your network, give it a password, and identify what room it's located in. You're up and running. Adding the beacons was even easier, because the Eero finds them automatically, adds them to your network, and asks for their room location. Suddenly, you have a mesh network delivering fast, powerful Wi-Fi to all corners of your house and beyond. No, those beacons aren't extenders. They are actual mesh access points. Who wants to go through all the hassle of extenders when Eero does it better and easier? The new second-generation Eero is responsible for all that power and speed because Eero added a third radio to the system, making it a tri-band system that is twice as fast as before. This is an enterprise-grade Wi-Fi system in your home that takes up less space than your previous router and delivers better coverage and performance. Did I mention the guest network? With just a few taps on the Eero app, you can set up a guest network that gives your friends a totally separate network to connect to. Set it up when you need it or want it, take it down when you don't, or change it with each set of house guests. Did I mention the additional thread radio for connecting low-power devices like your smart light bulbs, smart locks, and all those other smart sensors you're gathering up? Did I mention that Eero can connect over Ethernet in addition to wirelessly in just about any combination you can think of? I love my Eero for all these reasons and more, and I want you to love Eero too. That's why I want you to go right now to Eero.com and order yours. If you do, you get free overnight shipping by using the coupon code MacVoices at checkout. So you can have the Eero experience tomorrow if you start today. So start right now. Eero.com and the code MacVoices gets you free overnight shipping on an Eero and 2 beacons. I promise it will be the best investment you've made in wireless yet. Thanks to Eero for their support of MacVoices. Kelly, it would be real easy for someone to to question the fact that, and obviously you all are still just, in the grand scheme of things, you're getting off the ground. You're having more camps, but you can only accommodate so many kids, so many girls. So are you realistically having an effect, do you think? I know that, and I ask this as a lead-in because I know you've had some success stories, and I want you to talk a little bit about those and what you have had happen with some of the past campers that have gone on into the tech industry.
Well, my favorite story is one of our campers who came the first year of camp and was very interested and super engaged right out of the gate, asked a lot of questions. Not just about like specifically what the programming was that we were doing in the room right there, but was also asking sort of interesting questions of the developers, like how did you get to be a developer and what sort of things did you learn? And was was taking a really active interest. And then the next summer was an intern, and then the summer after for us at App Camp came back as an intern. We do offer that opportunity, and our interns are awesome. And it gives them an opportunity to come back and sort of attend camp a second year and learn a little bit more and be able to contribute to the team in some interesting ways, having already gone through the program and spent the week doing development already. So then she got an intern gig at a company here in town, and had sent a note to App Camp what she was up to. And then not this last summer, not 2017, but summer 2016, she built a cybersecurity camp, and cybersecurity is what she's really into. And I think that's very exciting because I know enough about security to know that that's very much, I always call it big brain stuff. It's complicated and it's really complex. And to have the patience for that, you have to have a level of concentration that I can't even imagine. Like, even when I can concentrate really hard, I can't get there. And I know enough security people to know that I'm not security people. Like, I'm very realistic about my limits on that kind of thing. But she really enjoys it, and she's built this camp, and she had it last summer, and she's had it again this summer. And she has pointed out in the past that part of what gave her the faith in herself that this was a good idea, that it was a thing that she could do, that if she wanted to do it, she would pursue it, was having gone to App Camp and seeing us in action and spending that week with us, and then spending the second week as an intern, watching us contribute, watching how we are able to work together, seeing all of us, getting it done, getting camp done, getting apps out the door, getting the pitch session at the end of the week set up, and the kind of people that come that are the panelists on that session. And it was really, really great to see that particular story, how that went on. And like I tell everybody, cybersecurity is not what we taught her. I think our first couple of years of camp were before Swift even. So she was learning in Objective-C. But we helped spark that interest for her, and we were able to give her the faith in herself to continue forward and pursue the thing that she really liked, and it turned out to be cybersecurity. So I don't ever expect that we're going to turn out, every time we have 12 campers, I don't expect that we're turning out a dozen computer science graduates or anything like that. But there's a lot of different pieces of software development and being in software, being in technology, that not everybody necessarily notices at first. Like, there's more to software development than just being somebody that hunches over a laptop and types mystery things into Xcode and then stuff happens on your phone. Like, there's a lot more to it than that. I know that's a big piece. I'm not saying that's not a big piece and that's not important, but there's testing, and there's user interface, and that, and making it something that people can use and understand, and being able to tell other people about it. You have to be able to market that app. Like, if it's not going to get you very far to make an app and release it in the App Store and not say anything to anybody. So we talk about all those different things, and we also take them on a field trip to a functioning software company. Obligatory shout out to Panic Software, who lets us come invade them every summer, and they give us a tour, and they take the girls around and show them this is what a functioning office looks like, a functioning software company. And I personally have a special place in my heart for Panic because they do this field trip for us, and I sort of hope that it is going to put such a solid impression in the minds of our campers that when they go somewhere and they interview for a position and it turns out to be just a gray walls of cubicle farm, they're like, no, that's not how a software office should look, because Panic absolutely doesn't look like that. And so that's part of what I sort of hope I'm doing is subversively we're sort of warping them against having to go sit in a cubicle all day long. That's just my own personal like joy that I take out of this, is that maybe this is the thing that's happening. We do have people who every once in a while are super, super engaged right from the get-go. And so like we go to Panic and they say things, and they're like, do you have an intern program? And I would really like to come back here and work someday, and things like that. And it's really heartening to see that from people who, in another year or two are going to have that sort of excitement worn down out of them. Like all of that sort of gets ground away when you're the only girl in computer. Everybody else shouts you down because they're not taking you seriously for whatever reason. And so if we can sort of encourage that before any of that stuff happens, then it can make a huge difference. So that's what we're trying to do. And that's part of why we're not doing this for 11th and 12th grade girls, for example. Like people ask how come we're doing this with younger campers instead of older campers. And that's a lot of why, is because by the time we get to them, if they're juniors and seniors in high school, they're not interested because they've already been through that process and decided like, this is going to be a complete waste of my time because nobody here is going to listen to me. And I'm not a foolish person and I'm not a dumb person. And I can tell that there's no amount of effort on my part that's ever going to get me taken seriously in this class. So I'm going to leave. And I guess technology is just not for me. And we're trying to change. That's another piece of what we're trying to change by starting even earlier than we do.
Okay, so you just answered a question I was going to ask you, and I hadn't prepared you for it. But in a world where girls are joining the Boy Scouts, boys are joining the Girl Scouts, and everything seems to be, everybody's so concerned about having somebody excluded. I think you just made a very the perfect point, the perfect case for why you need something that is girl specific. That, I don't know quite why it happens that way. I don't know if it's a function of the age or the culture or a little bit of both, but it does seem like, unfortunately, that women in tech aren't always taken as seriously as they should be. And I applaud you all and have from day one that you took this challenge on and weren't afraid to stand up in that group. And you and a lot of other people are making a difference, because now you go to WWDC, you go to a lot of the tech conferences. It's certainly not 50-50, but it's a lot better than it was.
And that's actually, it's interesting you bring up WWDC because that's how App Camp got started. Gene McDonald, our founder, went to WWDC, was in the big room for like the State of the Union, the State of iOS session or whatever it was, where they basically had everybody in the one giant room, and she realized she couldn't see another woman from where she was sitting. And then started thinking about what she could do to change that. And that's how we got started. And that's a thing that we are trying to fix. And so every year, like the first year when she first had that idea, she took a picture at the beer bash. And I think there might be like just sort of held her phone up and took a picture of the crowd. And I think you might be able to see one or two women in that picture. And then every year she takes that same photo, goes to the bash, takes a photo, and it's continuing to change. And that's one of the things that we're sort of glad about. And I think part of that is visibility. And visibility is important. Like that's part of why we make sure that that we have female and female identified team leads, project leads for each of the teams, and why we make sure that our panel is the same way. At the end of the week, all of the campers have to pitch their app to a panel of air quote investors. There's no have to get up and give a little presentation about here's our app and here's what it looks like and here's what it would cost and here's our marketing plan for getting the word out about what we're doing. And then they have to answer some questions from the panel. Not super complicated stuff. It's not about like functions or classes or anything like that. But if you had another day, what would you add? Or the 2.0 version of your app look like? Things like that. And it's really interesting. It's always really interesting to me to see what those answers look like. And you can see the apps. This is the other thing that I really like about this is that all of the developers who attend App Camp will end up with a published app in the App Store, because we gather up all of the created applications throughout the summer, and then we bundle them all up. Each year we release the quiz compendium, the app compendium. I think this year it's the app compendium. And it's 99 cents in the App Store. All of that money goes to App Camp for Girls as well. And you can see what they created over the course of that week, the actual apps themselves. And it's a lot to see those, to walk through them, to see the creativity in them. All of the artwork in them is all done by them. And one of the things in the marketing plan is, how is your app different from everyone else's? And that's always one of the things that they put is, ours was developed by 4 teenage girls, or ours was developed at App Camp. And, and all of our artwork is hand drawn instead of, computer like CG imagery and things like that. So it's a lot of fun to see the creativity that goes into all of that as well. And part of that is getting it out there into the world. Like, we had to have a marketing plan for the compendium, and we spread the word the best that we can. And that's one of the best ways that we have as an example of, like, if you want to find out what App Camp is about, go get one of the apps and go walk through some of the apps that were built during the week, and you can see all of them in one place, and you can see, like, this is what they're doing, during the week. This is the actual output of that week of camp.
And these girls come in with no experience. Is that a fair statement?
All different levels of experience. We do sometimes get someone who maybe was on like a Lego Mindstorm team at school, or has done some robotics, or done a little bit of programming. But for the most part, there's not a bar you have to meet in order to attend App Camp. I can spell iOS, you're in. Like, that's about the long and the short of it. Like, we just want people who are interested, or who could be. We've sometimes had some people, some campers who show up and at first they're a little unsure, like, I'm here because my mom made me, or I'm here because my dad thinks I need to be a programmer, or things like that. But once they get to see all the different pieces that go into it, besides just like the slice of technology that they have a view of because of their parents or whatever, they tend to get really interested. And we always end up, at the end of the week, like, I wasn't sure, but I had so fun, and that's always the part that's really gratifying.
Yeah. Well, I've first of all, I would tell anybody, go check out those apps, and then ask yourself, can you do that? And I bet you can't. So, and this is what comes out of a week of App Camp. The girls come in with, as Kelly said, not a lot, if any, experience. And by the end of the week, they've put together not only the app, not only the artwork, but as you said, Kelly, a marketing plan. I mean, they're teaching business, they're teaching programming, they're teaching so many aspects of things that a lot of us don't think about. When we download that app from the App Store, you kind of forget about a lot of those things that have to happen before that app gets even to that point, let alone on your machine. So I think it's just a fantastic idea, and that's why I love to support it so much. That's why I wanted to get you on here and kind of remind people that App Camp is still out there. It's growing. It's having its successes, but it definitely could use your support. And as Kelly said, it doesn't have to be necessarily monetary. Although, Kelly, right now you are running an IndeGoGo campaign. Is that correct?
We are. And the part of what comes with that, obviously, it's an IndeGoGo campaign, and it comes with perks. So I want to tell you a little bit about what those are. This last summer, as part of App Camp during the week, we gave our developers some iPhone templates, like printed on paper, and let them draw a lock screen image. And so there's a pack of those that you can get if you support us at the $10 level. And at the $25 level, there's a mixtape that was put together by a local band called the Double Clicks. And it includes Marion Call and the PDX Broadsides and Danielle Ate the Sandwich, for people who are familiar with some of those. There's other artists as well, but there's a mixtape you can get. For $50, you can get a documentary called App: The Human Story, about behind the scenes development of what it's like to be an app developer. Or for $50, you get we have some really awesome. I actually really covet these. They're scout books. It's like a field note size notebook. A nice thin one with a paper cover, and it's got a very, very cool design across the front and back covers that is really neat. It's got like all the different little bits of technology. There's an iMac screen and an iPad and a little watch, and I love the design. So I have my eye on some of those. I may end up donating to my own Kickstarter just so I can get the notebooks. And there's also a new App Camp t-shirt, which includes the App Camp logo, our little owl, and it's very cute. And if you are with a company that wants to give a bigger amount, we're certainly never going to turn that down. For $400, you can sponsor a developer, one developer for an entire week of camp. For $1,200, you can sponsor 3. There's a lot of opportunity, like beyond that. If you wanted to just become an App Camp sponsor, your company wants to be an App Camp sponsor, that's a different thing. That doesn't have anything to do with the IndeGoGo, but we're still happy to talk to you if that's a thing that would interest people. We have levels of sponsorship and different things that you get at different levels. But that's part of what we're looking for with the IndeGoGo fundraiser. And like I said, and you can see sort of the plan for the money that we're raising there on the site. We're pretty transparent about it. We need a not insignificant portion, more than half of it is going to staff growth, and making sure, like I said, that's part of the building the organization so that we can continue. And then we need a goodly portion for hardware. Like I said, as those computers age out and those iPods age out, we're going to need to buy more hardware to stay current. And we need to buy other stuff too, because we go through a lot of stuff at camp that is not something you charge with a USB cable. We have a lot of colored markers and like color pencils and Sharpies and sketchbooks and iOS templates that we buy with the stencils so that we can draw in some of those user interface things as we're learning more about, as we walk through sort of the pieces of UI design and how those things work and making those useful. So there's a lot that goes into it aside from people and computers. Snacks is another big part of that additional supply money. We have snack breaks. We have off-screen time during the day. We don't sit everybody down in front of a computer all day long. And then, we do break things up. Every afternoon we have an activity that I the off-screen time, whether it's a field trip or yoga or hula hoop, one that we do. And it's really a great opportunity, and I just want to get it out there in the world to sort of give everybody the chance to find out about it. And maybe it's not for you, or maybe it's not for your kid, but I'm pretty sure you know somebody who would be well served, whether it's by attending or volunteering, to get to spend a week. Because one of my favorite benefits of App Camp, for me personally, because now I actually have an official title. I am a founding volunteer, and one of the things that I've gotten out of App Camp through all of the years that I've been signed up to be a volunteer at App Camp is the friendships that I've made with people, whether it's people organizing in Seattle or people organizing in Vancouver or in California or in Phoenix or in Chicago, and getting to meet new people and getting to make friends with new people and getting and the opportunities that affords by getting to make new friends and getting to spend time with other people who have at least one in common. Like if we're all at App Camp together doing something, like there's a reason that we're all sort of there, and so there's like at least one thing we can agree on, even if it isn't anything else, we can agree on that. And it's been so much fun. And it's been like, for me, like I said, for me personally, the friendships I get out of it, and the people that I get the opportunity to hang out with, because App Camp Week is a long week. Camp Week itself, you spend a lot of time with people. And so I really love that it attracts amazing people. I can't say enough about the other people that I get to volunteer with, because all of them are awesome. And it's so much fun, and it's so rewarding to get to spend time with people who on a fundamental level, because they're taking an entire week out of their lives to help with camp, believe in the same thing that you believe in. And it's really sort of heartening to know that all these people are pulling in the same direction.
Folks, I'm going to have links in the show notes to everything Kelly just mentioned, to the IndeGoGo campaign, where you can find out more about some of the rewards, to the apps, so that you go and check those out. It seems like everyone right now is asking you to donate to this or that, and there are a lot of great causes out there. There's no question about it. But I would encourage you to save a few shekels for App Camp, because I think this is something that it's important to the future of our community, and beyond. I mean, to the whole entire IT industry, but especially to our particular community that is Apple-based and Mac and iOS-based. We want to encourage these developers, not girls, not kids, not guys, these developers, and it's just a pool that is going to benefit us all in the long run. And Kelly, you are such a fantastic spokesperson, because not only do you get all the information out, but you do it with so much enthusiasm. You can see it really means a whole lot to you.
It does. And like I said, part of why that's important to me is because of the friendships I get out of it. But also, I was the only girl growing up. I was the only girl in computer class. I was the only girl who was really excited to have a Mac. I was that person, and I don't want anybody else to have to go through that, because it wasn't fun. And if this is a small thing that I can do to put something out into the world, so at least one person doesn't have to go through that, or at least can put up with having that week of App Camp in their back pocket. Like our camper who went and built cybersecurity camp, having that in her pocket made it possible for her to do what she's doing now. And that's what I want to do. And that's part of why it's so important to me, is because it was really, I'm not going to admit how long ago it was, but it was long ago. And it was not cool to be a nerd. Whether you were male or female, it didn't matter. It was not cool to be somebody who was into computers and liked Star Wars as much as me and all that kind of stuff. And so now that a lot of that has gotten better, I want to continue to make it even better still.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. And okay, I'm not going to give statistics, but I will say this, because I kind of know, and maybe that's why it resonates with me in particular, because I know what it's like to sit in a class, and I was one of two guys in a typing class in high school. That's where I learned to type, and it is, and it is a strange thing, and I'm sure there are listeners out there that have experienced things like that, where you're a little bit out of place, you're not with the group that you're usually with, and it's uncomfortable. And when I think about what Gene did, and I mean, because Gene and you and Maya and Gray, you're just people to me. I mean, but to walk into an environment that is potentially hostile and definitely uncomfortable, if for no other reason than just they're all guys, it's something we need to work on, and not change tomorrow, but let it evolve the right way, the way it should, because the community just gets stronger because of it. So, when you're not here talking about App Camp for Girls, where can folks find you? And also, this will give you some contact information if you want to get in touch with Kelly directly about App Camp for Girls.
Well, when I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to a lot of other people. This sort of happened on accident. So I'm occasionally on the Incomparable Network. You can find me on some of the shows there. I have a show there called Greetings from the Uncanny Valley, which is a show about the Westworld, which is about to come back. I've been editing. We've watched all of the first season, and Don Melton and I are doing a rewatch of the first season. Basically, now that Game of Thrones is over, we have a little free time, and we're going to be putting that out very soon. You can find me occasionally on the Mac Observer Daily Observations podcast, and occasionally writing something over at Mac Observer. And I have just started, as in we recorded our first official episode yesterday, a podcast called Set Blazers to Stun, which is a podcast about the Portland Trailblazers. And that's with my friend Kelly Aucoin, who you may know from the show Billions or from The Americans. So we've got that going. And I also have a podcast with Mike Rose called The After Show. So like I said, you can find me talking a lot of places. And if you just want to read what I have to say, like I said, sometimes you can find that at Mac Observer, and you can also find me on Twitter as Verso.
Perfect. I didn't know about the new podcast. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
That's just now. So I'm very excited about it. And it will be out as soon as I'm done editing, and then we'll put that out the door. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Kelly and I have a really good time with that podcast. So yeah, if it's half as fun to listen to as it is to record, it's gonna be a show that goes really well. And if the Blazers don't suck this year, it'll be even better still.
I'm not a fan of the Blazers, but I'll give it a shot. Why not? Kelly, thank you so much for being here and for the time and for being such a great advocate for App Camp for Girls.
And thank you again, Chuck, for having me. It was my pleasure.
We'll do it again soon. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. And again, for a couple things. First of all, Skype has not treated us well, so some of Kelly's comments are a little bit rough to try to get through, but you definitely get the gist. But second, this is not exactly the kind of thing we typically do. Usually it's a little more informative to give you something, but I think this is just so important for the future of our community, that you need to know about it, know what's out there, know that somebody's trying to do something about it. If you can help and you're inclined, please do. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes, links to subscribe, and to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, the MacVoices blog, the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and on MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard that helps you do more with your Apple tech. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com, bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.